Hello everyone and welcome to today's session on posting customer receipts and supplier payments. Now today's session is going to be going back to the very basics. In this session we're going to be covering how to do those basics. So this session is only going to be around 25 minutes, maybe even less than that. And the reason for this is because it's just one of our quick learns, so it's bite-sized content with mainly demonstration. My name's Abby and I'm going to be your host for today, and it is just myself on today's session, so if you have any questions, pop them across to me. Just before we start the session, just want to cover some housekeeping. What you will see is that you will be placed on mute automatically. If you do have any questions, however, you can use the questions panel down the right hand side of your screen by clicking the option that looks like a little speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. This is going to open up the panel where you can send your questions across to me. Don't forget to press that little blue button to send your questions across. Now, with our quick learns, slightly different. Usually you would download the handout, but on this session we don't have any handouts just because the information on the slide is so small, and it's because we're mainly demonstration. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are just going to go straight into the session. So we're going to introduce the topic, talking about obviously the customer receipt and supplier payments, a very brief introduction, and then we're just going to go straight into demonstration. Once I've completed that demonstration, we'll come back to the slides and I will show you further support. So a quick introduction into customer receipts and supplier payments. It's a way to quickly and easily record your receipts and payments against invoices. So I'm going to show you how to post your payments and receipts, and also as well how you can allocate them to invoices. I'm also going to talk about entering payments on accounts for deposits. So it might be that your customer has paid you a certain amount of money before you've provided the invoice to provide a provide a product or a service. And also as well, once you've posted those transactions, I'll also show you where you can find that account activity and where you can view those transactions on that record. I've also provided two guides along the bottom of the handout. Realize there's no handout, so I will show you how you can find those guides as well. So you've got the customer receipt window and the supplier payment window as well. So what we'll do now is we'll just go straight into demonstration, and then I'll show you where you can find the relevant guides. I'm just going to pop over to my Sage software. What you can do today is, if you want to follow along with me, I am in demonstration data. So if you're in your company already, if you go to File, Open, and then you should see the option for Open Demonstration Data if you wish to follow along with me today. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to go into the customer receipts module. So in here is where you're going to find the customer receipt option along the top. Now, there's two ways in which you can access it. So you can access it from within customers. If you've got suppliers, then you can also access your supplier payment within the suppliers module. But you can also access the option if you go into the bank accounts module. So in bank accounts, you will see supplier payments, and then you will also see customer receipt. So it's up to you. There's some people who've been working on Sage a long time, prefer just to do it from within bank accounts. You've got the two options there. Alternatively, you can access it from each individual module as well. But I'm just going to pop into customers, and I'm going to open up the customer receipts module, or window rather. Now, the steps that I'm going to do within the customers module, you do exactly the same for the suppliers. There's no different. So there's two ways in which you can post a payment or a receipt. If you're comfortable using the main part of the window here, you're more than welcome to do so. Alternatively, you might not be aware, but there is also a wizard option. So we click on wizard, and what it'll do, it'll ask you what you want to do, and it'll walk you through the steps. So it might be useful as well if you've got a new starter using the software, they're not quite familiar. Until they're used to using this option, you might want to get them to use the wizard. But I'm going to just use the normal part of the window here to follow the steps. So the first part is your bank details. So this is going to populate automatically with your default bank. You don't have to use the default bank at this point. You can choose just from the drop down, you can choose which bank account you want to receive this money into. It's going to give you the name of the bank account that's selected and also the balance. Next, you've got your customer details. So in this window here, or this section here rather, you're going to choose which account you want to choose. So I'm going to choose from here, I'm going to choose ABS Garages. So as you can see, I've got quite a lot going on here. I'll make it a little bit, what I'll do is I'll just make the full window. So you see I've got plenty of invoices here. And what it's doing is it's telling me the balance of the account as well. Now, if you do have some payments on accounts in here, it will offset that balance slightly. But if you've just got invoices, this is the total amount of all my invoices that I have outstanding. And it's only going to show you outstanding invoices in this window. So you won't see any invoices that have already been paid. It will only be invoices that you are waiting to allocate a payment to. You want to select the right date that you want on your payment. So for example, we'll choose we'll pop back to the previous year because it's in the previous year, and then 24th. So let's just say we received the payment on the 30th of April. So what you can do, so we'll just pick the top invoice here. So we've got one for 33.40. What we'll do is actually we'll choose a one that's slightly higher. So we'll choose this one, which is £286.83. Now, you might not receive that full amount from your customer. You might receive a part payment. So what you want to do, you might want to do is you just want to type in or free type that amount in. So say that they only give you £100. So then you would allocate that £100. You would click save, and that would allocate £100 to that amount. So that would, when you next come into the customer invoice, the customer receipt window, what I'll do is I'll show you. So we've paid £100 towards that invoice there. We'll click save. That's just a different message, so we'll just ignore that one. That's not related to what we're doing today. So I've posted that £100 to that invoice. So if we pop to that customer activity, you can see I've got a sales receipt for that £100, and you can see which transaction it's relating to. If I go back into that customer receipt window, pop back to that customer, and we'll just find the one that we reduced it by. There we go. So we've got this one here. So you can see now that it's now reduced down to £186.83. What you can do is you can then click, let's just say I've received that £186.83. I'm going to make sure I put the right date on there as well. And let's just say I received that payment at the end of May. So I'll put the date in. And now what I'm going to do this time is you can either free type £186.83. Alternatively, you can then use this option along the top, which is pay in full. we pay in full, it populates that amount in there for me. I click save, and I pop back into the activity for that customer. You can now see I've got another sales receipt there for the remaining balance. So you can see there, we've got a payment there for 186, and then we've got a payment there. And you can see it links to the same invoice as well. Alternatively, you can just do a pay in full. So you can do, we'll go back into here, we'll use the same customer. For example, this one here, again, I'm going to change my date. Let's just have a look. And then I'm going to go into receipt. This time, they've given me the £33.40. I'm going to pay in full and then click save. Now, these same steps are exactly the same for your suppliers. But what I will show you on the supplier account is how to post a payment on account. And again, these steps are going to be exactly the same, but I know a lot of people, when we do demonstrations, like to see when we're going to do, we want to see it in customers, but then we also want to see it in suppliers as well. So I'll do the payment on account demonstration on the supplier account. So we're going to go to supplier payment. Again, our bank account is already populated. We're going to choose a supplier. And we want to make sure what we're going to do now is we're going to post a payment on account. So I've paid a deposit to my supplier for a product or a service. So we'll choose a date. So we paid that on the 1st of August. My reference is going to be deposit. You also have the option to enter an extra reference in there as well. And then we're going to pop in the amount 250. So I'm paying a deposit of £250 to my supplier. I click save. It's going to say there is an unallocated payment balance of £250. Do you wish to post this as a payment on account? Yes. So then if we go back into that supplier, you can now see I've got that payment on account for the 1st of August, and we've got the deposit, and we've got the amount of £250. So let's just say now I have received that invoice from that supplier. So I'm going to pop that supplier invoice on. Let's just say I received it on the 7th. And it's for £500. So you can see that gross amount there is populated there, so it's a £500 invoice. So we're going to click save. And then if we go back into that supplier payment window, and we'll pop down to that supplier, you can see now I've got that payment on account for £250, and I have got that invoice there as well for 500. So if in the payment window, in the payment box, sorry, you can either free type 250, or if you click pay in full, and then you pay in full on the invoice as well, what that's going to do is that's then going to post another payment, and it's going to allocate it straight away to that invoice. So it's going to post, so what's going to happen, and I'm going to show you, is we'll save that. And then if we pop to that supplier account, we have a look at the activity. So I've had a payment on account there for 250. I've then posted an invoice for 500. And then what that's done is, because that clicked on paid in full on the invoice, it has then allocated that payment, that purchase payment, to that invoice. And you can see when you click on the invoice itself, you can actually see the two payments that relate to that makes up that invoice. So we've got a payment on account and a purchase payment. Again, if you were to just, you know, rather than just splitting this, and you just want to pay an invoice straight up, again, we'll do a supplier payment. So you can see the allocation on the suppliers as well. So we'll pop to Concept stationery supplies. Again, exactly the same steps I did before. Select the box, either free type or pay in full. Pay in full, you can see down the bottom, we've got analysis total of £25.29. You click save. I'm going to pause that message. And then when we pop into Concept stationery supplies, pop into the activity, and you can see there we've got the purchase payment for £25.29. And in the information here, it tells me which purchase invoice it's relating to. So again, very simple on how you can post a payment on account, how you can allocate those payments and accounts to invoices, but also as well how you can part pay an invoice and then go in at a later date once you have your the remaining balance, and then go and pay the remaining balance on that invoice. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll pop back to the slides. Again, I told you it's going to be a very quick session today, because it is just a quick learn and it is just going back to basics as well. We haven't had any questions come through as of yet, so there's still a couple of minutes or so just while we go through the rest of the slides. Now, I talked about before how you can get access to guides for these steps as well, so you can visit sage.co.uk/help. So you can search knowledge base here, get support guides, register for webinars, watch videos, and also get in touch as well. But if we just pop over to the Help Centre and see if you want to get a guide on how to follow these steps again. So you can just type in post customer receipt, and then in this guide here, so the customer receipt window, it's going to tell you all about the customer receipt window, how to record a payment, like the bank details, customer details. So it goes at a lot more depth as well. There is other ways as well that we have access in the software in terms of if you do card payments. So Sage 50 Accounts doesn't, but there is a guide on how to provide another service. You can also as well how to generate receipts. So we've got other options like go cardless and things like that to process your card receipts. Again, same for supplier. You could do exactly the same. So post a supplier receipt, supplier payment, sorry. And then here you've got record supplier payments and allocations as well. So it also gives you the steps on how to allocate those payments and receipts. I keep saying receipts. How you can allocate those payments as well to invoices. Okay, so just before we wrap up the session, just a reminder that we do offer one-to-one bespoke training. So with our training bundles, you get access to support with stock control, construction industry scheme, banking, debtors and creditors, And also as well, if you're looking to upgrade your software or your license rather to the Sage Professional, we also can demonstrate those features as well. If you wish to get a personalized quote, then you can contact that email address. It's lsenablement1@365sage.net, and they'll be able to discuss a quote with you. Okay, so that does bring us to the end of today's session, ending about 5 minutes early. If you've got what you need today and you want to leave the session, you will receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. So I'll wrap this session up. So I want to say thank you to you all for your participation today. And just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.